Our world continues to move very, very fast. Let's start by having conversations. What does it actually take to succeed? Join us as we talk to people that have walked the same journey. Welcome to Blackin. Welcome to another episode of Blackin. As you know, we are talking to ordinary South Africans that are doing extraordinary things. Today, we've got Jeanette Sejamoholo. Jeanette is an exemplary woman in the financial services industry. She has over 20 years and therefore she is the perfect person to tell us about the ins and outs of a career in the financial services industry. We're going to talk about her background. We're going to talk about her values. We are going to talk about all the things that are important in her life and what is it that makes her a success at what she does. And hopefully we can learn a thing or two. Jeanette, welcome, and how are you?
I am good, Pansy. Thank you for that glowing introduction, but I'm good.
That's how we do. Right, so I suppose we need to start at the start, isn't it? Who is Jeanette?
Wow, okay. So let me start by saying Jeanette is a daughter. Jeanette is a sister. I've got 3 other siblings. Jeanette is a wife. Jeanette is a career woman. In terms of my beginnings, I was born in Soweto, in Joburg, Baragwanath Hospital, and literally grew up in the rural Polokwane, a village called Ramakata, and this is where I started my schooling. And because the parents were in Joburg, I eventually moved to Joburg and went to school in Soweto. And my high school was obviously with you at Woodmead and your sisters.
Yes.
And after that, I went to Natal for my tertiary education. I felt I needed to get out of Joburg. And I had a friend who was there who literally said to me, come through. Okay. And yeah, so I went to Pietermaritzburg to do my BCom and loved it, actually. So that, in a nutshell, is who I am, family, career.
What did you study?
So interestingly, I had gone to varsity to study BAC because being a chartered accountant at that time was the in thing.
Oh, yes.
You know. But then I got to varsity and accounting 2 gave me a beating.
Okay.
And,
I can relate.
Yeah, so after I failed accounting 2, I then chose another major just to leverage, you know, though I still did it again. And I chose business finance and I fell in love with business finance. So I majored in 3 subjects. I did economics, I did finance, and I did business administration.
Maybe take us through your work career, right? And what I want to get out of this is the relationship between the choices that we make after we leave matric and what we study in varsity versus what our careers then look like, right? What would you say about that? Do you think that, you know, the choices that you made in varsity have influenced you in your chosen career?
That's actually quite a very interesting question because I went to study BCom and I knew that that would eventually lead me to a career in banking or investment banking, but I did not have the clarity as I was studying, you know. Even after I graduated, when I was looking for a job, I was essentially looking for someone who's looking for a BCom graduate, you know.
Regardless of what it was.
Sounds as long as you get what I'm saying, because you study and you don't actually have experience of a career of what you do in banking, and banking is so vast. This industry is, you know, it's layered. You've got so many different fields. So I was looking for that, and I ended up at Nedbank. This was, I was doing custodial services. You know, it's really an admin work. And this is going to give away my age, but it's back in the day when we still had paper and CDs, paper financial instruments, before dematerialization happened. And what we were tasked with doing is people would do the deals behind the scenes. We would collect the stocks, count them, make sure that everything is all there, process payments, and all of that. So it was interesting for the first 3 months, you know, because you get to see, oh, this is a treasury bill, oh, this is an NCD, you know. But then after a while, you know, it becomes very routine, you know. And I remember one of the people that had made a deal wanted to check if it was settled and end. And I had a conversation with him. And after I dropped the phone, I said to my friend, I want to be on the other side. I want to be the one who is making these deals and not be sitting here and counting stock, right? Yeah. And so I went to my boss, and I think I was 3 months into the job. Okay. And I said to him, I want to go work in treasury. And I think I had a Nedbank investment bank in mind. And I think he laughed at me, you know. So after that, I stayed there. And one day towards the end of the year, a client called and said, look, we are happy with how you've been handling our account. Come through, let's have a chat, you know, about joining our company, you know. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went to Katie's investment bank and sat with Erica, and they were essentially offering me the same job that I was doing at Nedbank. And I said to Erica, I will come through, but I want to be a dealer. So if you can undertake to get me there, you know, I'll be happy to join you. And yeah, she said, fine.
Now, okay, so that's an interesting story, and I think we're going to dig into that a little bit, because there's a couple of things that I'm picking up. One, I'm picking up curiosity, but also courage. Where does that courage come from when you're just fresh out of varsity? Where do you get even the confidence to do that? One thing at the backdrop of this is, you know, the idea that our universities, they teach us, yes, the technical stuff, but they don't actually teach you what it takes to succeed, you know, once you are graduating and once you started working. So for somebody that young to have that clarity of mind, to know that I've learned what I can, where I am, and I want to try something else. Where does that come from? And do you think it's a thread that runs through your success?
I think you are spot on about one thing. I am curious. And because of that, I am always thinking about what's next. Okay. What's next, you know, type of thing. So in terms of our education, you know, I think we go to varsity. And here's what's actually interesting. We grew up, we did not have investment bankers in our families. 100%. We didn't know what an investment banker does, you know. And you look at, I'm going to say white kids who can actually go to intern. You know, by the time they get to varsity, they have a practical understanding of what career they want to go into. So for us, it's been largely theoretical. And yeah, so when you have that, you don't know, I trust my gut. So when my gut says, you've learned all that you can here, it's time to move on, I follow that. So you asked me about courage. I don't know where I got that courage. All I knew was that's where I want to go, and I'm gonna have this conversation. And the answer was either going to be yes or no. And it was a no in this case.
And you've got nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
And I like the fact that, a client approached you. It means that you were already displaying excellence, even at that time.
I will say yes, even though at that time I didn't know it. But the fact that, she called and that was her opening line, it means that, obviously she was quite happy with my service. Yeah.
Very interesting. And I think this is why, I want to do these conversations, because like you say, our Black youth is still in 2021 not exposed to what an investment banker does, right? It's all theoretical. We don't discuss things like this over dinner parties and so forth. And what I'm trying to achieve is for the likes of yourselves to map out your journeys so that young people out there can look, get a sense, and feel inspired to explore options perhaps that they're not open to previously. So I like that very much. Now, how did you end up in risk management, leading risk management? I know that you've won awards, you've gotten trips to all sorts of places because of the work that you do. So your work ethic must be something to write home about. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey into risk management and excellence into risk management?
Interestingly, I was retrenched, I think a year and a half into KDs, into being a money market dealer. And that led me to the Reserve Bank. And I remember I was temping and there was a lady there who, because I was looking for a permanent job, who saw this ad and she kept hounding at me to say, have you put in your CV, And I remember on the last day, she asked me and I was like, no, don't worry, I'll do it. And she was like, bring it here. So she literally took my CV, and I think back in the day we were faxing. She faxed it through to the Reserve Bank, and I was called for an interview. And I remember I kept saying to her, well, I've got experience in money market. They're looking for gold and FX dealer. I haven't really done that, And she was like, no, put it in. And what do you know? I was hired into that. So the one thing about being curious is you easily get bored, So I got into the Reserve Bank. I did money market dealing, FX, I did gold. And I had a boss who could see that I was beginning to be restless, right? And he then offered me to go into risk management, And I remember thinking, okay, yeah, well, I'm kind of done here. So let me go find out what that is all about, And it was actually quite interesting because it was at the time where, as a country, we were beginning to build up foreign exchange reserves. And, we were getting into investing those. And so that's how my career started in risk management. And because there were so many new and exciting things happening in that space, it literally grabbed my mind. And so I stayed in risk management for 15 years, but it was broken. It's a broken record. We'll talk about that.
Okay, let's pause that thought. Do you believe in luck? And I'll tell you why I'm asking you this.
I'd say grace.
Grace.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is there are so many young people with degrees out there that struggle to find work. So you've told your story. You've been retrenched, applied almost by force, into this opportunity at the Reserve Bank. Yeah. You go for an interview and boom, you get it. I want to understand what you think you can attribute that to. Have you ever reflected about that? It's not easy to pick out, one person out of 100 CVs that you get, or out of 5 or 6 interviews that you conduct. What is it about you that you think might have gotten you the job at the Reserve Bank?
A couple of things that I can talk to. One, I had friends who were in the industry, So obviously going into an interview, you would ask them, I've got this interview, share tips, share knowledge around that. So you kind of go in prepared, right? So I was blessed to have a network of friends in the industry who could give me tips. Shout out to Ulindiwe Butelezi.
Thank you, Lindiwe. Thank you.
And I think the other thing, and this is going to sound a bit controversial, right? I think back then, I don't know if it's still happening now, if you spoke English in the right tone, and
you touch another subject.
I know.
Yeah.
And you went to Woodmead, a type of thing. It gives you confidence, but I think people are more receptive to what you say. So I think that's also another aspect that I think made me marketable, or made people sit and listen to what I was saying.
As sad as it is, I think there is a lot of truth in that. So I'm in human resources at the moment. I've sat through tons of interviews. I've interviewed, young people, straight A academically, but when it comes to communicating their point across in the English language specifically, it's problematic, and I've seen also how careers of young people that perhaps had the privilege of private schooling with that accent, I've seen how they are able to accelerate their careers. Whether it's right or wrong, or is it fair, that's besides the point, but that is one of the realities.
Absolutely.
That we do pick up.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it adds to the confidence.
Absolutely. And because I was very much aware of that earlier on, in my hiring, I was very deliberate. I went and hired those A students from TEFLUOP. Do you get what I'm saying? Because vets, UNP or UND roads, that gives you currency already, whereas TEFLUOP is viewed in another way, so we still have a long way to go in terms of that.
So you are a very socially conscious
Absolutely.
Leader.
Yes.
And how do you think that actually helps you make a bigger impact? I suppose not for yourself, but to advance the lives of other Black people.
We talk about the value that diversity adds in a business, and that's exactly it. If you are looking for a quant, right? This is somebody that is going to be sitting in a desk and running formulas, writing this, doing that. Do you really need them to be outspoken? Okay. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's, consciously I bring those into the team, and I mean, their academic records speak for themselves. So if you don't give them an opportunity, who is going to give them an opportunity? So that is how I have been very deliberate in that.
So playing to people's strengths.
Absolutely.
And bringing that diversity of skill, personalities, and natural talent into a winning team. Jeanette, you sound very much guided, for lack of a better word. What guides you? What actually guides you? Why are you deliberate with the things that you do?
I think it has a lot to do with my background. I was given a chance, right? And that set me up for success, if I may say so. But I always know that if somebody did not give me that chance, you know, and I joke about this, and I said I would be doing something. I'm not going to say it because it's going to sound very controversial, but the fact that I was helped, that I was guided, it is important for me to then bring the next generation in, you know. So I think for me, that is what guides me, you know. There is space for all of us, you know, and there is nothing that brings me joy than seeing somebody flourish because they were given that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Social consciousness and I suppose social responsibility of us as Black leaders is very, very important. Now, you spoke about that broken record and you said we'd revisit that. Let's go there.
Yeah, so I was at the Reserve Bank for 7 years, and in that 7 years, I had been in risk management for, I think, about 4 years, right? And there was a period where I was thinking, this can't be it.
Okay.
What's next? What's out there, you know? And I had this fear that I was going to retire at the Reserve Bank. And I was like, no, I've got to do something. Okay. And it started quietly. And then somebody called and said, look, DBSA is looking for a market risk specialist. Would you be interested? And until then, I would tell people that, no, I'm not looking. But at that point, I then thought, a DBSA, market specialist, okay, let's give it a try, you know? So I went for the interview and I got hired, right? And it was a new role so I was reporting to the chief risk officer and the treasurer. So it was a new role that I was supposed to shape and, you know, start. And it sounded exciting. And yeah, so that's how I got to DBSA. And I was there for 9 months. Yeah. And I think I always have this rule that I know in 3 months if I'm staying or not.
Wow.
You know, yeah. And I knew at the end of the 3rd month that this is just not working for me. It is not going to get me to the next level of my career. I was talking to one of my former bosses because I had kept contact with people at the Reserve Bank. And I happened to say to him, oh, yeah, I'm looking. No, this is not working out for me. And he said, come back.
Come back.
Yeah, come back. Would love to have you. We've got a vacancy up to that point, I had only done market risk. And then he said, yeah, I can see that you have kind of gone into credit risk. We've got a vacancy in our compliance and credit risk space. If you want, you know, let's have a chat. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that sounds exciting. So yeah, I went back to the Reserve Bank.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And I think, again, what I'm picking up from you is around keeping your networks alive and never burning bridges when you move across. So relationships are very much important.
That is so crucial.
Yeah.
That is so crucial. There is a TED Talk that is done by Carla Harris, right? And he talks about performance currency and a relationship currency, you know, and it is so powerful because you can go into an industry and work as hard as you can and invest time and but if there isn't somebody who is backing that performance,
that's it.
Do you know?
In
so
fact,
relationships are very.
You sent us a clip. I remember, and it was about exactly that.
Yes. Yeah.
Having a sponsor. Or I suppose
Absolutely.
you could use different words, but having somebody at the table that is pushing your agenda.
Yeah.
Tell me about how that has played out in your career in terms of one, did you have a sponsor in your career? And two, do you play the role of a sponsor for other people? Let's talk about that.
So I have had many sponsors, and I didn't even know that there were sponsors at the time, right? And the first one was Amias that I worked for at the Reserve Bank, and he opened doors for me. And I remember at that time I used to ask myself, what does he see in me? That he is doing this, But I have been blessed that I have had sponsors, throughout my career. Daniel Minela is one. Zoto Matsau is one. And the beautiful thing is, even as we leave these different organizations, we still have relationships, So yes, those have been my sponsors, people who have taught me about leadership, people who have, pled my case behind closed doors, and in terms of my role right now, what I do a lot of Panse is coach and mentor young people.
Right.
And what I'm currently in a formal mentoring a program with a lady who is in the industry, and we were connected by a former colleague. And I'm mentoring one at my current workplace. But over that, I talk to people. I have a lot of young friends. I don't know why, for some reason.
They keep us young.
They keep us young,
Yeah.
And we have those conversations. So I think it was in one of the WhatsApp groups that I'm in, and we were talking about the role of a sponsor. And somebody said that you have to have juice, right?
Meaning?
You have to have influence. Do you get what I'm saying?
Got it. So
if you are a sponsor, you have to have juice, to be able to influence and open doors.
Absolutely.
So I am working my way towards that, but I do open doors where I can, and I'm very conscious about that. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
What inspires you? What keeps your juice, your own personal juice, flowing?
I think new things. Learning, when you get to that aha moment, and so that is what keeps me. I have to, like I said to you before, I get bored easily.
Yeah.
So I have to keep my mind occupied, and I have to do different things, but I also have to push myself to do new things, to participate. I always tell the story that I was a very shy person growing up, and a friend of mine actually asked me to co-host a beauty pageant.
Oh, wow.
With her at high school, and I remember thinking, but I'm so shy, and something in me said, challenge yourself to do that, and little did I know that would be a key skill in the industry that I'm in, because you have to be able to plead your case. You have to be able to articulate, Had I not done that, I would probably be still looking for my voice, so it is important to have that voice as well.
Okay. I think, talking to you like this has highlighted that me and you actually have a lot in common.
Oh, okay. I love that.
And I'll tell you what I've picked up so far. Okay, you started your first job, and you were very curious. I think I was the same way. Started in a grad program, and I did many different roles in a very short period of time. And it was because I went to my boss and I said, I think I've learned here and I want to learn there. I was retrenched as well, which actually turned out to be the best thing that could have happened.
It is a blessing in disguise. I feel the
Yeah.
same way about my retrenchment. It was a blessing in disguise.
It was a blessing in disguise. And also, my career growth has definitely been as a result of having people believe in me more than I even believed in myself. And I would ask myself that same question: what is it that they are seeing exactly? And fast forward to now, all the mentoring and coaching that I'm now doing. So I'm picking up a lot of commonality
Similarities,
in your journey. Our world continues to move very, very fast. Let's start by having conversations. What does it actually take to succeed? Join us as we talk to people that have walked the same journey. Welcome to Blackin. So, welcome back after the brief break. Just before the break, we were talking about, just how much I've noticed we've got in common. And I want to go back and zoom into the retrenchment aspect of our career. In a South African environment, especially now, post, or in fact, we are still in the COVID era. We are dealing with a lot of companies that are going under, or companies to stay afloat, they then need to do a lot of retrenchments. So I want to just pick your brain around this. Young people out there, perhaps, that are going through retrenchment, having gone through it, and I'm only asking you because you've gone through it, what advice can you give to people who find themselves in that scenario, and just picking up from your own experiences?
So it is actually one of those key moments in your life, right? I remember because when I got retrenched, I was in the dealing room. So you pack your things on the same day, And I remember driving home crying because I didn't have anything to do on Monday.
Yeah.
So I woke up on a Friday morning, went to work, had a job, and at the end of the day, that was it, right? I think the first thing is allow yourself to go through the emotions, allow yourself to just observe it. I remember I cried.
Yeah, and feel scared.
Yeah, because I had just bought a car. I had just moved into a townhouse. And what do? Do you sell the car? Do you move back home? What happens? So after that, what I did was I needed to just take a moment, right? And I knew that I didn't want to take the first job that was going to be offered to me.
Okay,
right?
That's interesting.
So what I then did is I did temp jobs.
Okay.
Right? I always tell the story. At some point, I was that lady who typed on labels and put them on an envelope.
Wow.
Yes, with my BCom degree.
Wow.
That's what I did. And what that did is it bought me time to then go looking for a job and really take a match that I wanted, as opposed to panicking, because what then happens is you take the first job that is offered to you, and it may not be what you're looking for. But I think what is also important, and what we have learned around this period, is the importance of saving.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you have no buffer, if you have no savings, that desperation leads you to just accepting things that you shouldn't be accepting. So for me, it's just accept it, come up with a plan, right? And while times are good now, start saving. Understand that if you ever find yourself in this situation, then you have enough buffer to allow you to breathe, to strategize, and then to move forward.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spoken like a true risk manager. Always looking ahead, and I suppose thinking of worst case scenario. And for a lot of people, worst case scenario has just hit. So perhaps let's just explore the risks that we are seeing. From your background in risks, what are the key risks that you see over the next 10 years, especially having experienced COVID? What are some of the things that people should be wary of, organizations should be wary of? What should we be preparing ourselves for?
So one thing that I have learned through this period is we have grown so rapidly, you know. A lot of companies would have said the majority of the people cannot work from home. COVID happened, and what happened? A lot of the people had to work from home. So for me, what is important is taking those key lessons in, you know, flexibility, you know, which is key. So that is the one thing, you know, how do we move forward post-COVID, but also take the lessons that were literally thrust upon us, right? So another key, a risk, which is not a result of COVID, it's always been with us, is the unemployment in our country, right? So it then becomes a question of, and here's the thing, we have always been brought up to go find a job, right? What are we teaching our kids, right? These are the ones, our kids should understand the importance of creating employment, working for themselves, you know. So for me, I think the key lesson that we can take out of this is we cannot be comfortable, right? Change can happen at any moment. And you have to constantly think about that, you know. You have to constantly think about your finances, your health, your family, and begin to have ways of making sure that you have an alternative, you know. So the key thing is don't be complacent. Do not be complacent. Always think about what's next. Always think about your worst case scenario. If this had to happen, what's going to happen to Jeanette? Do you get what I'm saying? So,
Okay. Now you mention, you know, taking care of your finances, taking care of your health, taking care of your family. And I suppose as a woman, and I'm going to go to the stereotype, we women tend to have a lot of balls to juggle at the same time. How do you juggle? How do you maintain that elusive balance that everybody talks about? What is that like for you?
So I can honestly tell you that I haven't gotten that to the T, you know. You do the best that you can. But one thing I have found that helps is planning, you know, because if you plan, you are being intentional about something, right? And this year, I have started on a fitness journey, you know?
Nice.
And in my mind is like, I am giving myself the best chance to survive COVID, right? So I've started walking. And what I find is there are days where I don't want to do it, you know? And what I tell myself is just change. Just get into your techies, you know, get into your t-shirt and right? And let's see how you feel about that. Right? And that's how I started. And then I'd say, okay, just get to the top of the hill, right? And look, girl, if it's not happening, it's not happening, you know? Yeah. And interestingly, once you get there, you want to do more. Right? So I've been doing that, and I change it. Sometimes I will set an hour and I'll say I'm committing an hour.
Okay.
Even if I am dragging myself and I will do that, you know? So you have to be intentional. You have to create spaces, create time for you, because if you're just winging it, you can wing yourself into not taking that walk.
True, very true.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Very true.
But once you have that conversation with yourself, if you don't want to disappoint yourself, you're going to do it, you know? Okay. So the other day I did 13 minutes and I was like,
but you did it.
Congratulations.
That's the important thing.
You did 13 minutes.
You
yeah,
did it.
Absolutely.
Right? So who holds you accountable? So I'll tell you why I'm saying that. So I'm in a WhatsApp group with family, because my brother is very much into the fitness thing. And as people post in the morning, that kind of, you know, makes you want to, because I suppose informally it's an accountability group of partners that we've got around that, and we motivate each other. So who holds you accountable? Who inspires you?
In the fitness world?
In the fitness world? We can start there.
I think my app holds me accountable there.
Okay, technology.
Yeah, because then you come back and you kind of want to see, did I do 3Ks? Did I do 5Ks? You know, and you want to see that constant, you know, graphing, so to speak. But it's mainly self-talk, right?
I like
and that. And it is... I have learned to, and this is a recent thing, don't ask me why it took me so long, to set goals.
Set goals.
Yeah.
Right.
To say, okay.
And it sounds so simple. And
it does.
Easier
doesn't
said
it?
than done.
It does, you know, because what I've realized is if I don't set goals, I tend to sabotage myself, you know. If the slightest thing goes wrong, you know, you just throw in the towel. But if you are tracking and you're saying by end of February, this is where I want to be, if you falter during the month, you still have 15 days to correct that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But if you don't have a target, you are not working towards something.
You are drifting.
You are drifting.
You are drifting.
Yes. So, and it's easy to get discouraged, you know, when that happens.
So, I'm a big fan of, I don't want to call them self-help books, but personal development books, right?
Okay.
I'm forever finding new titles. The book that helped me to get up early, for example, was The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And now I'm reading a book that was suggested by my sister, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And he talks about this drifting. I know you read, but do you read any personal development type books that you find help you to keep motivated or inspire you to better yourself?
I used to, right? But then I found that you quickly forget the lessons. You quickly, you know, move on, right? Now, now you asked about holding myself accountable. I have a coach.
Oh, okay.
Right? And she holds me accountable. And we don't invest in ourselves. So this is the one thing that I gifted myself. So I have a coach and we meet twice a month. And out of that, you know, because she checks where I'm at, what I need to be working on, and she actually gives me things to do.
Okay.
And she doesn't even remind me. She used to, and then she stopped, you know. So because I have invested, you know, I hold myself accountable, because what do I go and say to Umlalo when I haven't done my work, you know? So I think that is also so I will tell her of the things that I want to achieve. And I know at some point she's going to check in to say, where are we?
Yeah.
Why haven't we?
Yeah.
What is happening? How can you? And the one thing I like about that coaching relationship is she doesn't give me answers. She
Let you
guides
figure it
me.
out.
Yeah, I have to find my own answers.
100%. That's the first lesson in coaching.
Absolutely.
Guide the person.
And so for me, I think for any young woman, that is a key investment that one can
Invest in
invest
yourself.
in yourself.
I think we're nearing the end of our discussion. So one thing I do want to chat about for us women, especially Black women, what is the role of our husbands, us married women? What is the role of our husbands in our success? What would you say to that?
They are the support structure, right? When I walk through the door, my husband can read the type of day I've had. Do you get what I'm saying? So if it means he's gonna go and get takeouts because this woman is not cooking today, it's that, you know. So my husband has really been supportive. We don't have gender role. We do have a little bit of gender roles in the house, right? Because he has to make sure that my car is serviced.
Okay.
Right? That's his role.
That's fair.
Do you get what I'm saying?
That's fair.
But and I will cook, you know, but he cooks. There are days where I come in, I'm exhausted. He doesn't feel like takeaway. He will cook. Do you get what I'm saying? And not only just that. So when I have a big presentation to do, he is my guinea pig.
Nice.
So he sits there
and
I present to him and he will give me pointers in a sense.
That's awesome.
They help us de-stress as well, right? And they have to be our partners in strategizing as well, you know? They have to be our partners and reassure us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if you kind of look at him and think, that's a lie. But, you know?
Yeah.
So they play a very, very important role. And we have to engage as much as they engage. And we have to do that respectfully.
Absolutely.
You know? We have to do that respectfully. So, yeah, no, partners, our husbands are very important in the journey because you bring things from work into the home as much as we say we shouldn't. And we take a lot of the things that happen at home into our workspace. Well. So there has to be that working together.
Absolutely.
Not always perfect, but and you have to be open to listening to the not so nice things, right, in terms of feedback, and understand that it comes from a place that is building. You know, you are not always going to get nice compliments, you know. So that's the one thing I appreciate about my husband is I know he will be honest with me. And when I'm swamped, hey, he'll make coffee and bring it to the table, you know, to the office, that type of thing.
When I asked you earlier if you believe in luck, you said you believe in grace. So I want to talk about spirituality and success. How do those two play out for you?
Quite interesting. So, I believe that I've had a lot of grace in my life, right? From going to Woodmead, that is a school that my parents could never have afforded, right? So that's grace right there, right? I follow a lot of my gut, you know, and I know when time is up, when I have to get into the next thing, right? And I think that is also grace, right? But what is important is working hard
Okay.
and being intentional, because you don't just call things into being and they become, right? You have to put in
The action.
the action, you know. So if I look back to where I come from and to where I am, there has been a lot of grace in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I fully believe in that.
And that is why you are now paying it forward and allowing yourself to be used as grace, I suppose, for other people.
Absolutely.
That is beautiful.
Absolutely. And
beautiful.
paying it forward is important, you know.
Yeah.
And just small gestures of kindness, you know. So I am that woman who will pay for your groceries, because I'm standing there and I'm seeing either my aunt or my mother, or, you know, but obviously you have to be careful because there are a lot of people who are chancers out there.
Yeah.
So, but I believe in that. I believe in giving. I believe in building. I believe in developing.
Yeah.
And because that and grace have certainly put me where I am.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Be intentional, work hard, follow your gut, keep networks and good relationships going. And we're seeing a lot of people that are in need right now. So the concept of paying it forward and the concept of little acts of kindness will certainly help us to bridge this gap that has been created by COVID. You know, I mean, we already had problems before
Absolutely.
COVID as an economy.
Absolutely.
And my biggest fear, I suppose, or concern, let me stay away from the word fear. My biggest concern for the future of our kids is, you know, are they going to be able to be agile enough? Will they have resilience? Are we giving them the tools now at this age to be able to survive the future and to have a sustainable future? And this is part of the motivation for what we're doing now. So we've talked about the past 20 years. What does the next 20 years look like for Jeanette?
I don't know. So,
Okay.
no, because my next always finds me. All right. But right now, what I am intentional about is personal growth, right? What am I doing to develop myself, right? Scanning the environment. Where are the opportunities, right? I am keeping myself open and scanning for opportunities. And the one thing I can tell you with certainty is my next will find me. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, that I know, but I can't articulate and say that is going to be. Yeah.
Okay.
So it will be opportunity, it will be timing, and it will be growth. Once those meet, that defines your next.
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to nominate myself as part of your next, and and basically invite you to. I know you already do it, but I'm going to invite you anyway to serve as part of Blackin and the network of mentors. Would you be open to that?
Panze, I think this is a phenomenal concept, initiative. I was very excited. One thing that I must share with you is I was actually praying about it this morning. And I was saying, God, let this grow beyond your wildest expectations.
Wow.
Right? Because we need it, you know? And you have a knack for picking people who will serve that purpose, who will be committed to that, you know, purpose. And I raise my hand. I can't wait. I'm truly excited about this.
Thank you.
I'm really excited.
Thank you.
And well done.
It means a lot. Thank
well
you.
done.
Well, it's only starting, so, you know,
Hey, you
but it
started.
It started.
Yeah.
It started.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And thank you for allowing me into your home to sit down and have this this conversation, for me to pick your brain, to open yourself up. For our listeners out there, I truly believe that it will go even further than what we intend. You know, from your prayer this morning, I believe that. And I guess that brings us to the end of this discussion. It's been a good one. It's been very insightful. Like I said, I've picked up a lot of commonalities, and I'm starting to pick up a thread of how people actually get to be successful, or how people actually get to be excellent. They're those traits that you will hear coming out in conversations with people. I hope this has been as useful for you as it has been for me. And with that, we are out. Thank you very much, Jeanette.
Thank you, Pansy. Pansy,
Yes.
I thought we should toast to your success,
Thank you.
to your new venture.
Thank you. Thank you.
May it grow beyond what you have hoped for, and may it touch as many people as it needs to.
So thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers to growth.
Cheers to growth.